All right, so the home inspector has stopped by and he's got his report filled out. Now it's time to meet with the HUD consultant. The HUD consultant is going to come into play in a couple different scenarios. The first one being if you're using an FHA loan and your property or your renovation rather is going to cost $35,000 or more, or if you're doing a renovation and your project is going to cost less than $35,000, but you're doing something structural. That means you're removing a wall that is then going to have to be supported by beams. You're doing foundation work. There's some other kind of sagging in the home, doing an addition. Anything that's going to involve anything structural, a HUD consultant will be required to visit that site. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Having a HUD consultant on site is very, very helpful. These are going to be the guys that work between you, the contractor, and the lender to make sure that your project runs smooth and everybody's on the same page. So that HUD consultant is going to meet with you. They'll already have that home inspection ready to go that we got from your home inspector. That way we know the starting point. What are our minimums that we need to get done if we're doing an FHA? And what are the other major things that this home inspector was able to find when he was searching around? That's going to give us the start of our scope of work. And that's ultimately what the HUD consultant is there to do with you. They're going to walk the property with you, talk about what it is you'd like to get done. We want to rip out this kitchen and put in a new one. We want to put a nice big addition on the back with a screened-in porch, whatever it might be. You tell that HUD consultant what you're after, and they're a good person to bounce ideas off of. Is that going to be more expensive or less expensive? Can I remove this wall cheap, or is it going to cost me a lot? They're a really good consultant to talk about your job. They're also going to take photos, they're going to shoot some videos, and put together any kind of drawings for that contractor to kind of work off of. So that HUD consultant will then take the scope of work and all of the media that he's put together with it, hand that off to the contractor, and it gets them a really great start when they come back to talk to you down the road. So that HUD consultant is really, really helpful for bouncing ideas off of, but they're also great to deliver your scope to that contractor because they know the lingo. They're going to take, we'll call it everyday speak, and they're going to turn that into contractor talk so that that contractor knows exactly what it is that you're looking for. So HUD consultant is a great consultant to talk to. They make sure that the project runs smooth. It's a great person to ask questions to and make sure that the project is moving in the right direction. So you've met with the HUD consultant, and he shot all of your info, your scope of work, your photos, your videos, any kind of drawings you might have over to the contractor. Now it's time to meet with that contractor on site and tell them exactly what you want. More than likely, between the last time you talked to the HUD consultant and you finally getting to walk through with the contractor, you've probably changed your mind on a thing or two that you wanted on that original scope of work. So you want to make sure you're very, very specific with your contractor, walk each room, tell them exactly what you're interested in, what you want, and really try to paint that picture. This is the fun part. You get to tell them exactly what you want. The other part that happens here is the contractor can throw out ideas, give you suggestions, and tell you what can be done and maybe what can't be done. Maybe we wanted to remove that wall, but instead we come up with another idea that's quite a bit cheaper. The contractor is a great source of information to talk about the actual building process and what goes into it. We would really like for this process to be done somewhere between 7 and 10 days after you guys have the house under purchase agreement for the first time. This will give the contractor roughly a full week to put that bid together and still give you guys an entire week to work on the edits. By the time you talk to your contractor and by the time that bid comes back, you will probably have slept a few times and figured out that maybe you wanted something before that you don't want now, or maybe you saw something on TV and you thought, hey, it'd be really cool to have that on our house. So we need about a week or so to put together all of the different edits that are going to go into your bid. Then once you guys are able to finalize a bid, you sign it and get that sent off back to the loan officer. That's where the fun begins. It's the appraiser's job to tell us not only what the house is worth now, but what the house is going to be worth after the renovation is done. That term is called the after renovated value, or the ARV. So one of the reasons that we need to have the bids done in such a specific and detailed manner is so when that appraiser is walking through the home, they can pull out the scope of work, walk through each room by room, or stand on the outside, or envision the garage, look at the drawings, and say, okay, as I'm standing in this kitchen, it's going to be completely updated. It's going to have granite countertops, all new stainless steel appliances. Okay, that's the kitchen that we're talking about. As I walk into this bathroom, it's going to have a tile shower, it's going to have a 4-foot vanity, and it's going to have a toilet in this corner with tile floor, painted walls, and beautiful mirror on the wall. That is what this bathroom is going to look like. The bid that we get from the contractor has to paint that picture for the appraiser so that there's no question what kind of quality that house is going to have once the renovation is done. So it's the appraiser's job to take the current house plus that renovation and let us know what that future after renovated value is. We use the after renovated value to basically determine whether or not the project can be completed. So here's an example right here. We take the purchase price of the home, which is $100,000. We take the renovation cost, which is $75,000, and our hope and our goal is that the after renovated value that the appraisal sends us back is $175,000 or more. If for whatever reason the appraised value comes back lower, then we have to do one of two things. We either have to go back to the seller and try to buy their house for a little bit cheaper, or we have to go back to that bid and say, okay, what are we going to take off of this bid to make this project work? However, if the appraisal comes back and our current home purchase price plus our renovation price is equal to or less than that after renovated value that the appraiser gave us, then we're good to go. We pull the trigger, we send it back to the loan officer to get ready for underwriting and get ready for our closing. So the home appraiser is very, very important, and they basically determine whether or not the project can be done. For this reason, the scope of work from the contractor has to be very, very, very detailed so that that appraiser knows exactly what that house is going to look like and can give us the best comps possible. And it's always a great, great day when we get that after renovated value back and our project is good to go. So you've made it all the way through the lender, through the realtor, worked with the home inspector, worked with the HUD consultant, and finally worked with the contractor to let you know what it's going to take to get this project done. And then to cap it all off, the home appraiser told us we're good to go. So once we've made it through the appraiser, we send all of the paperwork, the purchase agreement, the bids, photos, videos, everything to that lender. The lender then sends that through underwriting, and underwriting lets us know when we're clear to close. They may have a couple questions they typically do along the way just to make sure that they know exactly what's going on with your renovation, but those are typically easy to handle. So after about a week or so, they give us a clear to close, and that's when the fun gets to begin. On closing day, the house is yours. The bank goes ahead and purchases the home, and then they take the escrow, the renovation money, and they put it into an escrow account. That escrow account is what the contractor will use to get your renovation done over the next couple weeks or couple months, depending on the size of your project. On closing date, the timer starts. There is a 30-day window to get your project started, and then once it is started, it's pedal to the metal from there. The project starts and the project doesn't stop until it's done. So this is how the makeover mortgage process works from A to Z, all the way up to when the reno begins. It does take a while, but if you work with all the right guys, if you work with all the preferred partners through this process, it makes it go so much easier and so much smoother. So we're really excited to work with you on your next makeover mortgage process to turn a house that otherwise needed a little bit of love into a beautiful home that will work with you forever.